So what does the future look like? Well, I think that capitalism can recover from the coming climate collapse. I don't think it's the end of things. There are a lot of eschatological leftists out there. Oh, it's the end of capitalism. It'll destroy it all. I don't think it will. Hell, if you play like the Fallout games, you can see an example of a capitalistic society that goes on ticking in the face of massive worldwide global disaster. Um, it's the metabolic crisis that Marx referenced, and yes, it does shape capital and it interpolates capitalism, but capitalism also interpolates it. It can, to an extent, salvage itself through promoting green industries, green tech, even calling it socialism when it's not socialism. There is no Green New Deal that is socialism because it all presupposes the state and the whole bourgeois apparatus to implement. This is not socialism. Um, it's it is entirely conceivable that capitalism survives this crisis in a radically altered form, in a very different way that I think we can speculate about. Um, I imagine the world of 2070 to be basically a world of walled cities. Not in the sense that the nation state has come to disappear. I don't think that can happen until the very end of capitalism. But I think that isolationism on a regional level becomes the rule of the day. Commodity production will go on unabated as a consequence. Um, we will all communicate with the outside world through technology, just as we are already starting to do now. You got a taste of it with the COVID crisis, which, while legitimate, I don't claim that it was fake. I know that there were the deaths. The crisis itself, the way it was handled, was absolutely a conscious test run for this coming implementation of the system. Morality will be more abstract and even less coherent than in the theological ages of Christianity and so on in the secularized West, but it will be more staunchly enforced than ever. And it will be enforced through public shaming and rituals of ridicule. They won't kill you because that violates bourgeois precepts of property rights and self-ownership, but they will shame you. If you've ever seen the 1971 film The Devils, the whole sequence in which the king's court comes to the town and they round up the nuns at this nunnery and they subject them to public ridicule, that is basically the way that things will work. And it will be policed on a left-wing basis. And it's visible in the outlines of Twitter today. You can see it clearly. There is a priesthood here that functions as the officials of this religious ecclesiarchy. And the more followers you have, the more influence you are presumed to have, the more other individuals suck up to you. Every working class person is aware of it. It doesn't mystify anything except for these middle class dipshits who think there's some value to it, or who think that Twitter is real life. And it's not. I think probably the system starts falling apart in the 70s or the 80s. This is unstable as hell. This is less stable than fascism, and the only reason it will last longer than fascism did is because it seems consensual. You agreed to this, you did this, and therefore there's this consequence. It is the explicit and overt realization of what is implicit in bourgeois society throughout its own history. I think that economically there will arise a cooperative system, as I've mentioned before. I think this co-op system will be sold as socialism. I don't think it's going to actually be socialism. There's no revolutionary component. There is no. Yes, you don't even own the means of production. You will basically rent the means of production. I think 3D printing will play a big role in this, and I know this because I was the one who I theorized. I thought about trying to get on the ground floor when I was a kid. I realized that this was all coming down the pipe, and I'll demonstrate this. I thought this shit since I was like 11, 12 years old. And everything that has occurred has simply, in the most random possible ways, validated what I thought back then. But that's basically the future. I think this gets implemented in a conscious, directed sort of way, probably in the 30s, through a Bernie Democrat in America who sells it with these big grand campaign slogans, and the Communist Party USA and all the communists on the ground floor The rank and file will go along with it as they have gone along with it. They went along with FDR and the New Deal, even though that only built capitalism. Uh, what else is there to say? I'm sure that you can see it also, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not. Here, enjoy my tits.